Welcome to Tao of the Day. This is Martin John, your host. This is a Recover Yourself production. I wanted to come on a little early today just because I had plans. I had plans that were going to kind of take me through 9 o'clock, and I was going to do a 9 o'clock, but here we are at 6 or 6:30. Just because, yeah, I decided that if my plans are going to shift, I want to make sure that I do this today. So, if anybody's out there and wants to pick a number between 1 and 81 to launch us off into Tao of the Day, I would love to have you on. This is Tao of the Day. Tao of the Day focuses on the Tao Te Ching. Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written at 600 BC by Lao Tzu, and it translates to the canon of reason. It is philosophical Taoism. So Taoism comes in kind of two flavors: philosophical and religious. This is the kind of bare bones philosophical approach to Taoism, and Taoism is, really about being present in this moment as life is happening. So if you have a number that is just kind of coming up in your mind between 1 and 81, I'd love for you to join me and give me that number. We'll run through the Tao for you today, because the Tao helps us. It kind of, each one of these chapters is like a meditation. And if you choose a chapter, no matter what number it is you choose, whether you choose your favorite number, a number that's kind of just gnawing at you at the moment, then it's going to give you some bit of information about what's going on in your life right now. Every time I talk to people and give them a number, everybody constantly says, wow, this is exactly what I needed to hear. So if there's something you need to hear, just join me, pick a number between 1 and 81, and I would be happy to share this wisdom with you. Once again, this is Tao of the Day, and it's the center of Tao of the Day is the Tao Te Ching, and this is kind of the philosophical Taoism. As I mentioned, Taoism does come in two parts: this philosophical as well as the religious. Lots of gods and things to to take up your time. But this is the stripped down kind of philosophical look at the Tao. So if you have a number between 1 and 81, join me, and I would love to share the Tao with you. I'm picking 83 for my day. Sorry, 63. 83 is beyond 81, so couldn't pick that number. But here we are with 63. Act without doing, work without effort. Ugh, man, where is Catherine when you need her? She would love that. Act without doing, work without effort. Think of the small as the large and the few as the many. Confront the difficult while it is still easy. Accomplish the great task by a series of small acts. The master never reaches for the great, thus she achieves greatness. When she runs into difficulty, she stops and gives herself to it. She doesn't cling to her own comfort. Thus, problems are no problem for her. The interesting thing about this 63, so I just finished 63, it ends with problems are no problem for her. That is the interesting thing that pops out to me about this 63 is that I have lived my life this way for quite some time, and I continue to do it. This idea that um, this idea that comfort isn't something that you strive for. You strive just to know what's happening around you right now, and that you are dealing with that right now in the moment. This is such a loop, right? Act without doing. And then we look at the bottom, it says she doesn't cling to her own comfort. Thus, problems are no problem for her. When you go out in your life and you act by doing, right? You have all of these expectations that you hold on to that which you do. You work through effort, all of this effort you put into all of the things you do. um, and that's the beginning, right? Act without doing, work without effort. But then it ends with she doesn't cling to her own comfort. And this idea that we want comfort, this idea that comfort is the end all for our lives right now. Like we need comfort. We want to be comfortable. This is where our pacifiers come in. This is where our addictions come in. This is where all of this, all of the problems that we can face, show up because we're out here trying to be comfortable. And the thing is comfort is a scale. And so comfort is like you're comfortable in this one place. You're comfortable doing something, and then as soon as that becomes uncomfortable, you switch into doing something else, or you try to do it even more. Our bodies are resilient, and our bodies are built to be resilient. And so every time we get comfortable with something, so if you lay in bed and you're like, oh, this is so comfortable, eventually that comfort is going to be uncomfortable. And then you got to get out of bed and do something else. Well, if you elect to do things on occasion that are uncomfortable, like exercise, well, you exercise, you put your body in a stressful, sort of uncomfortable situation, and then it gets stronger and you can deal with that discomfort easier. And so you put yourself in a more uncomfortable situation and get stronger and stronger. And then eventually you're like, okay, this is good. And I don't have to, you know, be the Hulk here. We can just like work on, running or doing all of these things. And, skydiving is one of those things that people do. And you know, they feel elated afterwards, right? Because their body is in this state of like fear, shock, and all of this sort of stuff. And it's fun, but it's scary to jump out of a plane, I'm sure. I mean, I've never done it, um, but how does that relate to day-to-day living? And that's where comfort, we look to be comfortable through our pacifiers, whether it's like drugs, alcohol, Amazon, our phones, all of these things. So we're going to start going, and I just wanted to kind of point out that like putting yourself in a state of discomfort is is at times very healthy, so that we're not clinging to our own comfort. you know and when we don't cling to our own comfort, our problems are no problem, right? It's not uncommon for us to be uncomfortable, so it's not a big deal that we're currently uncomfortable in a situation. It's just like, oh wow, look at that, I'm sad because something that I didn't want to happen happened. Well, let me look at that. It's a lot easier to look at that and be sad, and it's okay to be sad. There's nothing wrong with being sad. And and deal with it. You don't have to cling to your own comfort. So that's what pops out at me initially. I know I've talked about that a lot now. But we're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to look at this. And we're going to go through it line by line. And it says, act without doing, work without effort. When I first read that, I mentioned my buddy Catherine Mahoney, who I speak to often. Usually she'll pop on when I come on a little later in the day. This is probably a little early for her to be on. But Catherine, my buddy, she always talks about intuition. And when you're working from a space of intuitive design, when you're working from a space of intuition, you are really acting without doing. You're working without effort. You're doing, like, even this for me, like the only effort I put in is like, when am I going to do it? For today, I'm coming on early because, well, I want to get this done today. I love doing the Tao of the Day. It is something that I want to do all day long. I'd love for everybody to join me. And if I had to go through all 81 verses in a day, it would probably make me really happy, and totally exhausted. But act without doing, work without effort. Just be here present with what's going on. Just do whatever is coming natural to you right now. And that is living from an intuitive space. And so that's why I mentioned Catherine, because she talks so much about intuitive business and intuitive working, and really just I love her and her ideas. And I believe that this is a really beautiful start to this piece, that aligns with what Catherine thinks. And so I just want to do a little shout out to her. Think of the small as the large and the few as the many. I love this because it reminds us that whatever you do, like however you do anything is how you do everything. Right? Like that old idea of if you when I was younger and doing things that were, maybe less professional, I would still do it with the most professional attitude. But then I would work with people who would say, well, how many people are going to watch it? Or how many people are listening? Or how many, even on here on Wisdom, people like early on, I remember like people looking at the numbers and looking at how many people were listening and even stating like this many people are listening right now. And it's like, I know that the number that of people that I'm looking at, which currently is at 11, I just saw, I know that many of those people just slipped through, skipped, didn't even hear anything that I had to say. And maybe there is nobody listening right now. And that's cool because I am showing up anyway. Just like this Tao 63 states, think of the small as the large and the few as the many. If there's one person out there listening, I want to be talking to that person. I don't want, I'm not looking to be heard by millions. I'm looking to be heard by the person that needs to hear me right now. Now, I've been going through the book, Force versus Power, or Power versus Force. I forget which, it might be Power versus Force. And, it talks about these levels of energetic, energetic levels of consciousness. And one person that is in a high state of consciousness, balances out thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people that are in a low state of consciousness. So I know that if I'm speaking to one person and they are listening and they are getting something out of this, and this conversation can bring them to a place where they are in a higher realm of energetic consciousness, then then I am affecting hundreds of thousands. I'm balancing out hundreds of thousands of people who are in a low state of energetic consciousness. So think of the small as the large and the few as the many. That's such an important aspect to how we approach our lives. That's such an important aspect to how you approach what you do. If the only time you want to perform is when you have hundreds of people listening, well, why do you want to perform at all then? Like, you have to want to perform your best all the time because it's you performing, because it's you doing what you do. If you want to show up as you, even if the only person that's going to see it is a 2-year old. And if like if we're here just waiting for thousands of people to respond, then we know that it's just about our ego. Then we know that it's just about our addiction to getting praise. Confront the difficult while it is still easy. Accomplish the great task by a series of small acts. Confront the difficult while it is still easy. So what is difficult, right? Like difficult is, changing things in your life. The difficult is, making, speaking up in a relationship as soon as you start to see something is going astray or awry. You're like, wait, 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 wait. This isn't something that I like. I have to mention it while it's still easy to mention. Because I mean, you've all, I'm sure, have been in the unfortunate situation of not saying something one day, and then the next day you're thinking, oh my God, it's too late now. I have established a boundary that I didn't want to establish. I have established an idea that I didn't want to establish, and how it becomes, and the more we put it off, the more and more difficult it becomes. So confront the difficult while it's still easy. Accomplish a great task by a series of small acts. Yeah, those small acts just happen now. And the great task, accomplish the great task by a series of small. What is the great task? The great task is your life. The great task is living your life, and accomplish your life by a series of small acts, little tiny things, not huge shifts. Notice what is difficult, confront it while it's easy, and that's a bunch of small acts rather than getting into a relationship, seeing something wrong, putting it on the back burner, not mentioning anything, getting married, having children, and then needing a divorce and bringing everybody through that. So like that's all of a sudden no small act, but a small act by speaking up early on and saying, actually, this isn't what I wanted. Like that's the big deal, right? So act without doing, work without effort, do your life, live your life without effort. Think of the small as the large and the few as the many. There's the little tiny acts, you know. You don't have to make these big shifts. It can be just and just seem like few things. Confront the difficult while it's still easy. Accomplish the great task, and that's an important. In like what Stephen Mitchell is translating here is really important because he says accomplish the great task, meaning there is only one, and that's your life. That's what you're living right now by a series of small acts. The master never reaches for greatness. Nope. The matcher the master never reaches for the great. Thus, she achieves greatness. If you guys are new to the Tao, you'll know that Stephen Mitchell's translation uses male and female pronouns and he interdisperses them. So in this one, Stephen Mitchell is using the she pronoun as the master. And he does that, Stephen Mitchell does that because in the original Chinese, there is no reference to gender. So the master never reaches for the great. Thus, she achieves greatness. What is that? What does that mean? Can you see, like, when somebody reaches to be great, how that grasping for greatness pushes them further away from it? Have you experienced that? Have you experienced that I'm grasping for something and it's slipping through my fingers in this moment? When she runs into difficulty, she stops and gives herself to it. It's such a, giving yourself, a lot of people today want to talk about like, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And I'm always trying to tell people, like, it's not that you want to let it go because that's such an abstract sort of thing that, it's just trying to demand something of yourself all the time. Like, oh, just let it go. Well, that's not really what we want to do because it's here for a reason. Now, if we can give ourselves to it without the judgment, I think a lot of times, maybe we'll go through a breakup or we'll go through something. We can't get someone out of our mind. We can't get this action that we did out of our mind. We'll have embarrassment or shame or other things like that. And we can't get it out of our mind. Everyone's telling us, just let it go, let it go, let it go. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean in the moment? What does that mean right now that we let it go? Well, I think this sort of sums up what we're really trying to say. Instead of let it go, we give ourselves to it. We say, yes, okay, this is how I'm feeling, and that's okay. Rather than, this is how I'm feeling, and let me try to stop feeling that way. Because I think trying to stop feeling that way, you give it more energy. Yes, let it go, but let it go do its thing. Don't let it go, meaning like it doesn't matter to you and pretend like you aren't here in difficulty, even the master. So the master never reaches for the great, thus she achieves greatness. When she, the master, runs into difficulty, which we will all do, she stops and gives herself to it. She doesn't give it. She doesn't, it's not saying she keeps going and lets it go. That's not what the master does. The master doesn't keep going and lets it go. She stops and gives herself to her difficulty. That is what the master does. Here in the world today, we're always saying, oh, let it go, let it go. But the thing is we have to give ourselves to it. It's here for a reason. And we have to give it the respect because it is part of us. The reason that it's here is because it's part of us. And if we let it go in a way that is, you know, trying to remove its power, well, all we're doing is removing our own power. She doesn't cling to her own comfort, the comfort of like difficulty, right? If we have difficulty in our lives, when we run into difficulty, comfort is getting rid of that difficulty. We don't cling to, we as masters don't cling to our difficulty, to our comfort. So we allow ourselves to give ourselves to the difficulty at hand, whether that's sadness or frustration or anything that it is. She doesn't cling to her own comfort. Thus, problems are no problem for her, right? They are problems, but they're no problem, right? And so it's okay. Yes, we have problems. Yes, we have difficulties. Yes, we get sad. Yes, we have all of these things, but we confront the difficult while it's still easy. So our difficulties aren't really that difficult. And when we run into difficulty, we stop and give ourselves up to it. We say, okay, this is where it is. And that's when we can think of the small as the large. Like this little thing is going to get big. If I allow this to run my life, if I allow this feeling to continue to tell me how to be, if I continue to be disgruntled about something, well, we need to look at it that as the large. That is a small thing right now. So we deal with it while it's still easy. So act without doing, work without effort. This is how, like giving yourself up to something is very easy when you do it early on. But the more you cling to it, the more you embrace it, the more you do with it, the more it just becomes difficult. And then you become increasingly uncomfortable. And then problems become problems. Whereas the master doesn't cling to our own comfort, so problems are no problems for her. That was 63, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate you guys joining me. If anybody, I'm gonna give you guys, I'm gonna, like I usually do, like a 2 minute or so, like close out. If anybody wants to pick a number between 1 and 81 and wants to join me and discuss the Tao and talk a little bit about what your Tao of the day is today, I'd love to have you. Once again, I jumped on early today because I have a 3 hour event that I'm going to be hosting, and I don't know exactly when that's going to start. So it was supposed to start an hour ago, and now it's getting postponed. Not necessarily against my wishes. Once again, problems are no problem for me, so I'm just rolling with the punches as they present themselves. So yeah, I am doing this early, and here I am. I covered 63. I think it's a verse that we've not covered on Tao of the Day before. So if you have a number between 1 and 81, definitely step up, and I would love to talk Tao with you. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written 600 BC by Lao Tzu and translates to the canon of reason. This is the philosophical line of Taoism. There are two kind of major Taoisms, right? There's the philosophical and the religious. This is more the philosophical line. And I love talking about the Tao because it is always spot on and helps us understand how we can live a more reasonable life. I do these Monday through Friday, weekdays, obviously. Mornings Central Time, sometime between 6 and 10 a.m. I was hoping to do this one at 9, but we had to kind of, roll with the punches and do one a little early this morning. And so, yeah, I appreciate you guys listening. I am Martin John, the recovery mentor. I have workshops coming up. Oh, these workshops are awesome. Join me over the next 3 Tuesdays, I have workshops, and so it's a 3 hour workshop, and it starts at 9 a.m. Central. Tuesday's the 18th, 20 something, and then the 1st of February. So if you're interested in recovering yourself, if you're interested in identifying those patterns that are kind of running under the surface and that you're not always in control of and taking you down cyclical paths of experiencing things that you continually don't want to experience, if you are interested in understanding the depth of what the Tao is and how the Tao can work in your life, these workshops are awesome. And they're not Tao based at all, but it is about living your true self and recovering yourself, which is the title. If you're interested, shoot me a DM in Instagram. If you're interested in working together, I take a limited number of one-on-one clients every month. And I take them through my Recover Yourself portrait facilitation work. It includes artwork, it includes cognitive behavioral approach, as well as energy work. And it is all about you growing beyond your own self limiting. And I don't want to call them limiting beliefs, although they are limiting beliefs, but they're also like, if you are making yourself sick, I want you to get better. I want you to heal. And healing is possible. And healing is possible when we balance our lives and we understand where our lives are inadvertently living out of balance. So if you're interested in working together, contact me. You're interested in learning a little bit more about the portrait facilitation process, I would love to talk with you. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. You can find me at Martin John. Once again, my name is Martin John. If nobody wants to join me this morning, I'm going to go ahead and close out. This is Martin John, the recovery mentor. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.